G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Let's go. My wife stole our daughter's college money to fund her shopping addiction, and she wants me to take the blame. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I don't know what to do. And the problem is, I can't discuss this with anyone that I'm close with for privacy reasons. I've been with my wife, Andrea, 48 female, and my stepdaughter Cassie, 17 female, for 8 years now. I love them both to death, but Cassie is a very brilliant young woman. Recognizing her potential, Andrea and I decided to put together a college fund for Cassie so that she wouldn't be crushed by debt. Over the years, it has amounted to over $200,000. Cassie is aware of this and is banking on it since she is trying to get into the Ivy League. To make a long story short, last week, I found out that almost $170,000 of the money was missing from the account. I freaked the F out and asked Andrea if she knew anything about it. She teared up and said that she had been spending the money over the years to fund her spending habits. I am furious, but I've had a moment of clarity. I have browsed these subs enough to know that an affair was possible, so I asked her if she was having one. She adamantly denied it and offered any proof that I needed. Social media accounts, emails, her work phone, everything. She offered to show me the receipts as well. There was nothing that popped out as suspicious, and the math from the receipts added up as well, so I let it go. But we still had the major problem of the money being gone. She described herself as a shopping addict, and the money from Cassie's account was just too tempting not to use. She didn't make excuses, but she offered no solutions. As stated before, I was beyond furious. She ruined Cassie's chances at going to college debt-free and has changed the trajectory of her whole life. I had asked her to stay with her sister while I try to figure this out. Cassie was concerned about why she was leaving, but we just said that we needed a little bit of space. I asked Andrea to come back home yesterday, and we had an extremely long discussion about how to handle this. She stopped me from talking and asked a favor of me. She asked if I could take the fall for her. For context, her and Cassie don't get along for a variety of reasons, and knowing how independent Cassie is, she will probably leave right after college, if not during. In fact, me and Cassie get along very well, and she comes to me for a lot of her issues. Andrea fears that this will permanently drive Cassie away, and she doesn't want to lose her. I told her that before we even talk about that, she needed to acknowledge her own mistake and own it. She needed to go to individual therapy, we needed couples counseling, she needed to find a shopaholic support group, and that I would be controlling the finances from now on. She said that those terms were steep, but fair. I said she needed to tell Cassie what she did, apologize, and hoped for the best. She refused, and said she could never lose Cassie. She said I could survive the mistake, but she couldn't. I told her that in order to even consider me taking the fall, she needs to agree to my terms. I don't know what the hell to do. The last thing I want to do is lie to Cassie, but I don't want Andrea and Cassie to split up forever. And the worst part about this whole thing is that Cassie's life is ruined either way, and I don't know how to replenish the money other than maybe borrowing from my 401k. Reddit, do you have any suggestions? Divorce is always an option, but I love Andrea despite her mistakes, and me dating at age 52 is next to impossible. In the comments, do not lie to Cassie. That's punishing her for her mother's sins. It will come out eventually. Her mother needs to be honest. Also, check your credit reports with all 3 bureaus and lock that stuff down like yesterday. Also, check that no cards or loans have been taken out in Cassie's name. This absolutely needs to be seen. It's easy to want to trust your partner and easy not to think about identity theft, but that is one of the common next steps for her to take. OP, if you thought your daughter's life was ruined now, if your wife takes out loans in her name, it will make this look like nothing. I loved my wife for 16 years, trusted her with all the finances, because we were a team, right? One example of dozens. Every time she went shopping, she pocketed $200 cash from the checkout while paying for groceries. For years, she was skimming $400 to $600 in cash and hiding it. Even when our financial backs were to the wall and we started bouncing a few checks, she never mentioned her stash. I had to take out loans at murderous interest rates to float us while she sat on all that cash, and she was a stay-at-home mum the entire time. I trusted too much because I was in love. I learned. I guess it's your time, brother. I feel your hurt and betrayal in sympathy, but I feel better than I have in decades a few years after the divorce. Do not take the blame. Your wife admitting her mistake to her daughter is the only way your wife's addiction is going to stop. If she can't admit her wrongdoings to the person it hurts most, she can't move on from her addiction. To add to that, taking the blame isn't going to improve your daughter's relationship with her mom. It's only going to create a situation where she feels that she has two parents that she can't trust or rely on. Don't take that away from her by turning yourself into another unreliable adult in her eyes. You look out for her best interests always, and she should know that. Back up to the post, we have an edit. After everyone in here knocked some sense into me, I realized I can't lie to Cassie. I love her too much, and she deserves the absolute truth, no matter how ugly and hard it is. I will be talking to Andrea and telling her that we need to tell her the truth together as a condition of us staying together, or else I will initiate divorce proceedings and tell Cassie anyway. Also, as someone suggested, I don't need her trying to flip the script on me, so I'll record our interactions going forward. Thanks. Edit 2. I want to thank everyone here for really opening my eyes yesterday. You are all right. I need to put Cassie first, and like I said, I'll be telling the absolute truth. Even if she gets mad at me and disowns me, at least I'll know that I did the right thing. In addition, I'm going to pay for her college myself. I can pull money from a couple of places such as my retirement and inheritance, so it'll be okay. If I have to live a little frugally during retirement and work a few extra years, then so be it. Cassie is worth it. I honestly doubt her mother is going to sell her stuff, so that's why I'm taking this route. As for Andrea, I've been criticized for wanting to let Andrea off the hook, so to speak, but that's easier said when really deep feelings aren't involved. That being said, I don't think that I can stay with her. What she did is horrendous, and she ruined our daughter's future for her addiction. We had a long discussion late last night, and I threatened divorce unless she told Cassie the truth. She begged me not to do this, but I put my foot down, and eventually she agreed, but only if I agreed not to divorce, and I helped to repair their relationship. I likely won't be doing either. She made her bed, so she can sleep in it. So if I have to update, I'll probably just make a whole new post. Thanks a lot, guys. And now, on to the update. I want to start this by thanking everyone who replied to me in the original post. You all showed me tough love, and I appreciate that. I even appreciate those who were calling me a doormat, because like I said in the previous post, it woke me up. I won't be staying with Andrea. She has lied and manipulated me and Cassie for far too long for me to stay with her. The fact that she stole from me, Cassie, and Cassie's grandparents makes this as close to unforgivable as it gets. The most wronged party here is Cassie. She has an amazing future ahead of her, and I refuse to let her future go to waste because my wife made such selfish choices. Also, I'd like to take the time to answer some common questions, some of which I answered in the original post, but I'll post again here so everyone can see it. 1. Over half the money in the account came from Cassie's grandparents, aka Andrea's parents, Cassie's bio dad's parents, and my parents, whom she also calls grandparents. This money came in the beginning, which is why I knew how much was supposed to be in there. 2. I never handled the account. Although I claim Cassie as my daughter, she is only my stepdaughter officially. As such, her mother handles all financial matters related to her. I simply gave her money to put in the account, and she showed me, probably doctored, statements. My belief is that she pocketed the cash whenever I gave her money. 3. I did notice all the stuff she was buying. She claimed that they were either on sale or because she got a work bonus. She makes a very good living, and I thought she was responsible with money, so I said all right. I did ask her why she needed so many Christian Louboutin shoes, but she just shrugged it off. And although people can't wrap their heads around it, it is very easy to spend $170,000. 4. A large chunk of the money went to buy a Mercedes, which I thought was a lease. She had a 7-year-old Lexus that, according to her, her friends were laughing at. Keeping up appearances for her wealthy friends is very important to her. 5. Cassie and Andrea do not get along for a variety of reasons. Allegedly, Cassie takes a lot after her deceased father, and Andrea can't relate to her at all, or maybe doesn't try hard enough. Cassie much prefers to talk to me. We do have parent-child boundaries, but Cassie considers me one of her best friends, which were her words, not mine. 6. I realized taking the fall was her manipulating me, plus it would have opened me up to a crap ton of consequences that I don't need to deal with. Plus, honesty is always the best policy. And 7, I wasn't thinking properly in my last post and was afraid to be alone and single. I guess I have some issues being alone that I need to address. Plus, I really do love Andrea. We connect in a very deep way, but I am still divorcing her. Oddly enough, a comment pointed out that senior homes have chlamydia outbreaks got me laughing, and it made me realize that I could date again at this age. Plus, you guys gave me some very nice compliments, so thank you for those. After my update on the original post, I talked to Andrea deep into the night. She went back and forth with me on admitting to Cassie what she did. She said that she, or even both of us, could get loans and take care of the money then. I said she had a problem and she needed to make amends, which was a talking point from here. When I threatened her with divorce, she agreed to tell her so long as I don't divorce her. I guess she's afraid of losing everything. That afternoon, we sat Cassie down and told her the facts. She thought that we were just kidding at first, but when she realized that we weren't kidding, she got extremely upset. I will spare you the details, but she and Andrea got into an extremely loud and vicious shouting match. Cassie called her some truly awful names, and Andrea, while she didn't curse at her, tried to defend herself, but started getting angry at the names that she was being called. They were so loud, the neighbors called the police. I had to awkwardly explain the situation to them while hoping they didn't think that I was some kind of wife beater. Cassie told Andrea that she never wanted to speak to her again and that she never wanted a dime of her money and stormed off. I asked Andrea at this point to stay with her sister indefinitely while we give Cassie and me some space. She didn't want to go, and she fought me to stay, but I told her that Cassie and I needed time apart from her. So she packed her stuff and went to her sister's house. As for Cassie, she went to her room and locked the door. She let me in after I told her that her mother had left. She cried in my arms and expressed that her future was now ruined. I told her it wasn't, that I would cover her college from my retirement and that I would make it right. She doesn't exactly know what a 401k is yet, but she told me that she doesn't want me to work until I'm 90, like the people at Walmart, just because of her. I told her she's worth it, and that you do stupid things for the people you love. She said that she would start looking for scholarships and maybe other schools where she could get a full ride since she has excellent grades and extracurriculars. I then admitted that Andrea wanted me to take the fall for her and that I had considered it, but I came to my senses. She got upset with me and told me that would have been the stupidest thing that I could have done. She said she wouldn't have believed I did it anyway, and it would only have made her more upset at her mother. She told me that she doesn't blame me and that she's not mad at me for the money being gone, but she is mad that I'd want to cover for her mother. I apologized for that. We talked and cuddled for a little while longer before calling it a night. The next morning, I get a call from Andrea's parents asking if the story was true. Cassie had told them the story, and they were calling to confirm. I had the voice recordings and bank statements to prove it. They were livid, but begged me not to leave Andrea for this and to try and help her through her addiction. I told them that I wasn't sure about that yet, and I hung up. A while later, my parents called and asked me about it, and I confirmed. They were probably more mad than Cassie was, all things considered. They are threatening to press charges. I told them to calm down and that I would handle it. Cassie is doing okay. She's still a little shell-shocked, but she seems to be taking it well, as one could hope for. I made her pancakes this morning, and that seemed to brighten her mood a bit. I asked her if she wants to do therapy, and she said she'll think about it. I will be doing therapy for myself. Andrea has been calling to talk, but I'm just letting it ring. So she's leaving voicemail. She's offering anything to make it right. Sex, money, favors, you name it. But it's not going to work. I feel horrible for Cassie, and especially so close to Christmas. I think I'm going to get her Billie Eilish tickets since that's her god. It won't make up for it at all, but it could go a long way to making her feel better. So that's it for now. I guess I'll update if anything further happens, but I think this is pretty much it. Thanks all. You have been a tremendous help. Edit. I forgot to add, I watch my credit like a hawk, so there was nothing suspicious there, but it's going to be locked. I'll be going to my accountant next week to have Andrea removed from everything meaningful. Life insurance, will, bank accounts, etc., and I'll be adding Cassie. I've started changing passwords and the like, so Andrea doesn't have access. I'm stringing Andrea along with non-divorce until my accounts are secure. Also, from what I can tell, Cassie's credit is okay, but I'll be doing a deep scan and locking that as well. Edit. I can't believe that I have to say this, but there's a few people saying it's creepy that I'm cuddling with my daughter. If sitting together with her crying on my shoulder and us talking is considered creepy, then sure, I'm creepy. Leave it to the internet to make things weird, I guess. And no, I don't think I'm some hero, I'm just trying to do the right thing. In the comments, hold on. Do not cash in your retirement. You have other options to get probably most of the money back. Sell the Mercedes, sell those Christian Louboutin shoes and all of this other designer stuff that she has. Even Cassie has been suggesting other ways. She can probably get scholarship money. I think you are doing the right thing. Sell these possessions and do everything you can to not cash out your retirement. You have other options. She needs to sell everything to make things partially right, even if she ends up driving around a beat-up car or takes public transportation. OP replies, sorry, forgot to put it in the post. She doesn't want to sell her stuff and is just offering to get a loan. The stuff she bought is not hers at all. She stole the money, and so the decision is not hers anymore. Threaten her with charges by your parents, Cassie, and you, and let's see what she will say then. If Andrea isn't even offering to sell the bought items, she really isn't sorry. She cares more about her shallow friends thinking she is rich than her relationship with you and her daughter. If she had any remorse, she would sell them. And how dare she ask you to take out loans, cover up for her? If this is the breaking point for her relationship with her daughter, there has much likely been so much more leading up to it. But mainly, I want to commend you for your care of Cassie's future, how much Cassie trusts you, and your good-hearted morals and nature that show so clearly through your posts. You will find someone so much better than Andrea. Best wishes. This is honestly why I'm saving for my grandkids in my own account when it's time. I've seen this happen way too many times, and it's what my parents may have done if my grandparents ever gave them money for me. They would have planned on paying it back, of course, but then run out of time. People on here don't understand why grandparents don't want to save in the parents' college account. This is why. Addictions, divorce, death, any number of things can happen to otherwise good people that change them into someone who would borrow a little here and a little there from their kids' college funds. You are being smart locking up your accounts while exploring your options. It's not too early to speak with an attorney. Legally, you may lose half your 401k to Andrea. I wouldn't cash it out or promise it before you speak to an attorney. Our next post is titled, Am I the Asshole? Because when my brother and his husband adopted a baby, I asked if they got a dog or a cat. So my brother and his husband recently adopted their son. It was kind of sudden, baby dropped at the fire station sort of situation. I had known that they were in the process of adopting, but as far as I knew, they were kind of early on. I don't know anything about the process, so I guess I thought a pregnant woman looked through stacks of applicants, picked some family, met with them, and they went to the hospital to get the baby when it was born. Basically, I thought there would be a lot of lead up to them becoming dads, and I would have a heads up. So my bro called me last week and said, Congrats, you're an uncle, you have a little nephew. And reflexively I just said, Oh nice, did you get a dog or a cat? My bro was silent for a bit, and I was thinking, that's not a hard question? And he finally says, a human baby. We adopted a baby boy. And I was like, oh crap, sorry, that was fast. My mom was absolutely horrified at this story, and I've been deemed the biggest family asshole this year over it. My brother doesn't seem mad though, but his husband does seem to be very annoyed with me. No one understands why I would ask that, so I mean, I don't know. Am I an asshole here? I'm not neurotypical, so it's hard for me to know if maybe they're teasing me and not actually that mad. However, if this situation needs a real sit-down kind of apology for me being a major asshole, then I want to do that. In the comments, no assholes here. Not gonna lie, I laughed pretty hard. I did too, especially because our dogs are our children and I have human babies. My youngest holds our puppy and says, "You're my child," so it made me laugh extra hard because I'd be as confused. A few years back, my sister-in-law and her husband, my brother-in-law, got a dog, and they constantly call him their son/baby boy. We were having Father's Day brunch with them and parent-in-laws. I was in the kitchen and I said to my brother-in-law, "Your first Father's Day! Congrats!" And my mother-in-law overheard us, thought her daughter was expecting, and freaked out in excitement. We burst her bubble when I clarified that I was referring to his earlier Insta post, calling himself a dog daddy, and was going to buy himself a nice bottle of whiskey to celebrate Father's Day. No assholes here. I'd have probably said the same. It might be worth sitting down with them and letting them know that you are happy and excited for them, but was a bit shocked at the sudden news. Congrats to your brother and partner. I'm sure they'll be far too busy with a baby to worry much about your reaction. Why is the brother an asshole? He isn't, but mum sure is. Knowing your child is not neurotypical and acting all horrified at an honest mistake? Ugh. I don't even think that this is a product of being not neurotypical. I would have said the same thing, as that is crazy fast for them to adopt. No assholes here, lol. Your family is pretty drama-free if this is the biggest F-up of the year. If I were you, I would just apologize anyway to keep the peace. It was an honest mistake, and I'm almost 30, and I still get surprised when friends announce pregnancies. If there are still hurt feelings and negative attitudes towards OP after a long time over this very funny little mistake, then this family doesn't need real drama to be dramatic, which is a shame. That was exactly my thought. How is this bad enough that they're upset in any way over this? I would still apologize for hurting their feelings because it's just easier. However, if you feel like that doesn't feel right to do because you really didn't do anything wrong, that's okay too. It sounds to me like they're either exaggerating or extremely sensitive when it comes to this topic, and we may never know why. I don't feel that you did anything wrong. And now, on to the update. Whoa, this blew up overnight. I talked to my brother and brother-in-law this morning, and I told them what I said here and apologized. They said they are not mad at all, and they just thought that it was funny. They said if they seemed upset, it could be because a lot changed suddenly for them. So I think I could have misunderstood them being busy and tired for being annoyed. I asked what about the pause on the phone, because to me if someone takes longer than about 1 to 2 seconds to begin speaking after I speak, and especially if I count over 5 seconds, then probably that is confusion or surprise, I believe. My brother just said that he wasn't sure if I was attempting a joke and he should laugh, or if I was just confused. That's what he was thinking in the pause. The family likes to tease me because when I learned about sarcasm in 1st grade, I then tried it out, and I told my dad that I had a terrible day at school when he asked. I was trying to be sarcastic, but my inflection was wrong, so he thought that I was being serious. My brother was trying to figure out if that kind of thing was happening again. But, as it turns out, actually no one in the family is mad at me. They apparently are all poking fun, and I couldn't tell. My mum's reaction was apparently not horror in an angry way, but in a funny disbelief kind of way. I feel a lot better about it now. In the comments, lol, obviously no assholes here. I'm glad you were able to clear things up with your family, and I hope that you can all joke about this in the future. It's pretty funny. Be prepared for them to sound tired and mildly irritated for the foreseeable future though. A new baby is a big adjustment, not the asshole. Judgment has already been rendered, but I have a somewhat similar story. My sister texted me out of the blue one day and said, "Pick a name," and I immediately texted back Kevin, thinking she wanted me to name another dog or something. A few seconds later, I got a photo of an ultrasound. I texted her back and said, "Please don't name your kid Kevin. There's nothing wrong with the name Kevin, it's just not a name that my sister and I would ever pick for a kid." And she texted me saying back, "Oh no, you were picking your aunt name." So I am affectionately known to my nephew now as Aunt Kevin. Lol, I'm glad that it turned out that no one was mad. If my brother ever called me about a baby, as he already has 3 kids, I'd probably ask, from where? I think the last pregnancy announcement, he called me out of the blue and started telling me that I needed to reschedule the trip that I invited them on because the baby was due that day. My response was, "What baby are you talking about?" Suffice to say, the baby was born on the same day as my trip, and I still went because I invited my friends instead. This is so wholesome with the update and everything. I love how communicative OP's family is, and I'm delighted to know that I'm not the only one who would assume pet before baby. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.